Good morning, Samoa! What's the intro? And welcome to Star Trek Lower Decks, Season 4, Episode 7, where today, it appears maybe I should have done that test stream. How's my connection? YouTube says it's good. I'm looking at OBS, some kind of cycling through 76 kilobytes a second, 113,000, 6,000, 5,000, green. Dropped frames 8%. Maybe I do need to be plugged directly in the router. 0 kilobits. That one's not good. 13,000.
It's almost as if somebody should have done a practice stream.
Well, I don't know what I really would have done about it. I don't appear to be buffering though. 2,000, 5,000. You're not uploading. What are you doing?
I'm watching YouTube. No, I'm not uploading. I still have a video I need to... I have it recorded and I have the background drawing for. I just need to actually edit my little avatar over it, and I'm being lazy right now because I'm in pain.
Aniket, welcome. I remember you from Prodigy. It looks like maybe this wasn't the best one to join. How am I doing? It looks like I am dropping about like 9% of frames, but we don't really need the frames. We just kind of need the audio.
If you hear a dog barking, that's because our dog can actually see outside now.
I'm glad Star Trek Prodigy has been saved. Thank you for reminding me. I forgot. Yes, Star Trek Prodigy was picked up by Netflix. And I believe I read that it was going to be released sometime next year. Did I have a quarter? Hang on, let me check that. Hi, hello. My chat's kind of far away. You can see a post in the community tab for what my setup is. No one's complaining about the quality of the stream yet so far, though, so I hope we're good. Hang on. Let me look at buffer time, because that's where I... At least, well... Yeah, by the way, Netflix, it worked, because my wife is now not counseling Netflix specifically because Prodigy's gonna have it soon.
Let's be real, I can find shitty Christmas movies anywhere.
I can't find it. I don't know. I don't know when it's coming out. Season 1, it will be on Netflix sometime by the end of the year is what I saw. But,
I don't know why you're getting your hopes up, unless or you're never going to see the end of that story just because of how Netflix treats their animated properties.
I mean, yeah, a season 3 would be a little surprising. But I don't know, it's super in demand. But the main thing is, you know, season 2, I expect to wrap up the whole Chakotay thing. They had a little bit of time, I guess, to tweak the ending to be a bit more final. Maybe not, it takes a long time to... They could have just cut, like, the next... But I think, at the very least, it'll end as cleanly as Enterprise did, plot-wise. Because, you know, Enterprise was starting to build into the Romulan War, but it never really got started, and it was kind of alright. Where Enterprise left off. I don't know about Lower Decks. I only watched Season 1 premiere episode, then left out. I didn't even do... Oh, watching Lower Decks. I was like, I didn't review Season 1. That was a bit before me. But yeah, I'm going to assume that the live stream's good. If the live stream's awful and buffering... Actually, no, you can't. If the live stream quality's bad, I'm recording. I might do a re-upload, but we'll see. I might just have to plug into my router. We might do a test stream later. Keep an eye out for that, like maybe today or tomorrow. I might try and plug into our router. But yeah, I was able to make it. You'll be happy to know I'm in this. I now have a house. I purchased this house with my own money. And a significant portion of the mortgage company's money, but, you know, it's a nice house, but I still do not have access to a proper table, of course, as is tradition.
Currently, Nathan's using one of those fold-out tables that I've had since I was in high school that we used to eat dinner and breakfast off of.
I actually don't have access to a desk right now. You can see I do, but like there's boxes and there's radon in the basement and you know there's all that.
We actually have 2 desks. You just can't use either.
Yeah. I don't have access. I don't have access to them. But yeah. Some people might ask, how do you own a house without a table? I might say that I own a house because I don't buy tables. You know, you could look at it one way or another. I'll be subscribing to Netflix whenever Star Trek Prodigy Season 2 releases. It is like, especially now that Season 2 is coming out, it's genuinely comical how good it would have been for Paramount if they kept Prodigy. Like, they canceled Prodigy. Within, like, weeks, the writer's strike happened. Like, since they've canceled Prodigy, the writer's strike happened. So, there's not going to be, with the exception of Discovery, there's not going to be any new Star Trek for, like, the next maybe 2 years on Paramount. The Animation Guild was not on strike, so they could have been producing... Actually, we probably will get a Lower Decks next year, 2025. Lower Decks has been, even when unavailable, like one of the most in-demand shows, period. Not animated, not kid shows, just period. It was one of the most in-demand shows there was. It's like, it's comical, like, how useful Prodigy be for Paramount. I'm likely canceling my subscription after Lower Decks just because there's not going to be anything until Discovery. And now I have a mortgage payment, so, you know, those, like, $13 a month will be a little more noticeable. In Netflix, it's already available in India. Yeah, so keep an eye out. I mean, I own it, physical media, all the way. I saw a post on Reddit. We'll get to Lower Decks after this, but I saw a post on Reddit where someone was like, "Where can you stream classic Doctor Who?" And someone was like, "Oh, it's on like BritBox." And someone else came and was like, "And now it's gonna be on BBC iPlayer if you're British." And so there was someone replied to that like, "Wait, classic Doctor Who is on BBC?" No. That's not the mentality. The mentality is, well, thankfully I have these DVDs for if it ever gets removed. Like, this show was literally unwatchable. It's like, God, I don't know. For me, Netflix is nearly less than $2. Oh, there was a buffer. Our dropped frames have gone down, though. We're at 7.3%. That's good. I don't know what's going on. I think it might be the, little stick I have in my computer to connect to the internet, which costs like $100. But the Wi-Fi's, the upload at least is really consistent. It's like 30 times more than what I need. I went to the internet store and bought an internet, so it should be working. All right, let's get into the episode. How much actually is Netflix nowadays? I don't know. Ooh, Paramount. Paramount's struggling to load a little bit. I don't know what's up. I think... Yeah, I don't know. I've noticed websites take a little longer to load. But hey, new internet, new house. It's quite frankly a miracle that we're here at all. The mobile plan, price less than $2. I mean, that's great if you can get Netflix for like $2 for accessibility. I couldn't imagine streaming shows on mobile alone, especially at the cost of $2. Like, oof, that quality. Yeah, this episode was interesting. I have Netflix. I watch most Star Trek movies and shows. Yeah, Star Trek used to be on Netflix until Paramount, well, until CBS, All Access. But yeah, this episode, as we've rambled for like 10 minutes now, this one felt more like what I was saying in the earlier episodes of the season, where it was fine. It didn't really do anything special. I feel this season of Lower Decks is really struggling with the episodes that aren't developing someone's character, or one of the main characters in any way. I mean, this develops Badgey, this develops PJ, Peanut Hamper, and is it Agamemnon? Whatever the heck Jeffrey Combs' name is nowadays. Like, it was kind of just fun. My main takeaway from this episode, honestly, I was on Memory Alphabet just checking this, is that this happened, then 3 years later, Prodigy happened, and then like 10, 20 years later, the people went, you know what would be a good idea? What if we connect every Starfleet ship through one system and control it all centrally? I'm like, man, this just showing even more that that's a bad idea. I know the changelings come up with the idea, but everyone seemed to be on board with it. Yeah, in India, Star Trek TOS Tasks and Voyagers on Netflix India. God, what is Paramount? Like, what's Paramount's plan even? It's just so decentralized, and it's gonna be interesting watching TV, like the television and partially the movie industry transition from streaming to whatever the heck they're gonna do that works. That's gonna be very interesting over the next few years. I can't help but think of Data's little line that television didn't last long into the 21st century, which, you know, World War III would probably do that. But yeah, Paramount Plus India will not launch this year. God, I mean, I don't understand. I don't understand them. But hey, for now, we're getting Star Treks. Oh, wow. Yeah, Paramount is not happy. My download... Hang on a minute. Internet? I just want to demonstrate. Nothing's gonna pop up. So, once it popped up with, like, my email. And I've edited that out of the stream, but... Look at this. I should be able to... Actually, that's really bad. Is it just, like, a bad internet? Is noon a bad time now? Is it just, like, peak internet usage? That's, like, 3 times less than it should be. Look at this! Look at this! This is, like, 34 times what I need to stream. Look at that! I should not be dropping 7% of frames. We may be moving these streams to the evenings. I'm going to have to pay attention to when, like, the best internet is. But yeah. Let's get back to the episode. It was kind of interesting. Oh, yeah, you can see this now. It was kind of interesting to have an episode kind of focused on all these AIs. Badgey, Peanut Hamper, and Agamemnon. And they were, I mean, they were pretty good, like... I enjoyed this episode, but not particularly actively, I think is the way I want to put it. Like, I don't want to say I enjoyed it, but I also don't want to say I didn't. It's almost like I expect a bit more from Lower Decks now after the last few seasons. And I don't know if they used up all their great ideas, and so now just their average might dip a bit. You know, that happens with shows as they go on, unless your name is Deep Space Nine. But yeah, I don't know. The scene where there was 3 binars really tripped me up. Like, that's just unnatural. 3 binars. The whole point is that they're binars. That felt really weird to see in Lower Decks, but I'm sorry, that's just a really minor thing I had to bring up. To be fair, when that guy runs out of the room, this little third guy, he does run next to someone else. I assume he does have a pair just in the other room. But come on, man. 3 binars. And I think, how many Badgey appearances have we had now? I think it's 3. The first one, which was great, you had him show up in one of the finales, season 2, I think. And I feel like this point... it's kind of the interdimensional cable thing, where now that there's 3, it's kind of run its course. And, like, it tried to do something more different with the different forms of Badgeys, but, like, I don't know, Badgey was fun because he was a murderous Clippy, and so they kind of took it to where he's not a murderous Clippy anymore. They're doing extra things. So on the one hand, you have kind of the murderous Clippy thing has kind of been overdone at this point. I feel like we've done all we can with Murderous Clippy. And then they're also trying to do other things that aren't why Badgey was interesting in the first place. I'm actually probably more in favor of the other plot, the B plot of this episode with Peanut Hamper and Agamemnon. I'm just going to call him Jeffrey Combs, you know? That's Jeffrey Combs. We all know this. Hey, look, 6.6% dropped frames. We're improving. So Some chat. Paramount Plus India. And Viacom 18 was supposed to launch Paramount as a hub. Oh my goodness. I don't know. Look, it's... Sometimes there are very few perks, but sometimes there are perks to being American. And one of them, as much as it sucks to have all these streaming services, at least you usually have access. Like, Doctor Who's the one thing that's kind of iffy, but that's about to come to Disney Plus, so you know. You know who I really feel for is Ireland. Because of just sort of their proximity to Great Britain. They often get lumped in with, like, the British stuff. But because they're not actually part of the UK, BBC is UK, right? Yeah, British. Yeah, because they're not part of the UK, they don't get BBC for free. So, like, the UK citizens can watch Doctor Who on just for free, because it's the BBC. Well, not for free, but easily. Then the entire rest of the world, except Ireland, can watch it on Disney Plus, and Ireland doesn't know if they get it. And apparently that's super common. Like, God, I really feel for... Yeah, there were some nice things, like, you know, is it J.G. Hertz is the guy who does this? I can't remember that guy's name exactly. And it did not go unnoticed that they broke up the usual pairings of Boimler, Mariner, Rutherford, and Tendi, which they've been doing a lot this season, and it's really good. But I'll always applaud, you know, that those different pairings, that they can help mix up the episodes a bit, just because we're often so used to the dynamics of Mariner and Boimler, and then Rutherford and Tendi. Hey, David C., welcome. I have cable, and I also have every streamer except Hulu, but I'm starting to think it's a bit of a waste of money. I, like, begrudgingly get Paramount Plus. If the internet wouldn't spoil things, I genuinely would just wait for the Blu-rays to come out and buy them then. Because, like, already I buy them all straight away, unless it's close to, like, December. But... yeah, I'm very, like, when Doctor Who, with Jodie's stuff was going out, at least earlier on. No, I watched Flux right away. Yeah, I can't remember where I got it. I think at the end I got it for free on some university thing somewhere. But at the start, I very angrily purchased, like, BBC America. And then eventually, for, like, the specials, I just bought them straight up on iTunes, like, a few days later. Because, like, 2 streaming services is where I draw a hard line. And I'm so happy that Disney Plus, like, Disney's the ones who picks them up. Because Alex is going to go Disney Plus no matter what. Like, I'm just going to get Doctor Who for free, essentially. So, I'm so happy Doctor Who...
Did I hear my name?
Yeah, thank you for being such a big Disney fan. Plus.
Oh, I won't use my parents.
Who are even bigger Disney fans. So yeah, I am so happy
You've been to my
that
parents.
we're just...
we got this free lamp, is they're replacing it with the Disney one.
I'm so happy that I'm just gonna get Doctor Who for free. And, like, basically everyone is. Because who doesn't at least know someone who's gonna give them Disney Plus?
Oh, did Disney
Like...
finally buy Doctor Who?
No, they have the international streaming rights.
Oh, kind of like how they have it for Ghibli.
Yeah, they don't own... They can make suggestions, but that's all they is. Like, the people who make Doctor Who have every right to just say no and then go away. So they have a bit more money, and everyone can watch it now. So Doctor Who's gonna be great.
Is one reciting Shakespeare to an apple while the girls watch?
No, he's standing in the crossfire of a grappler.
Oh, so they're doing a less cool version of the William Tucker. Why is the Starfleet
There we
badge
go.
alive?
It's
Go
a...
back!
Yeah, don't
Go
worry,
back!
Badgie.
Why?
Don't worry about it. You know Clippy.
Nathan!
You know Clippy.
Yeah, I can't just see this and not worry about it.
You know Clippy. Imagine if Clippy was like a serial killer. And that's Badgie. He's great.
Any evidence to prove he isn't.
That's true. That's true. And yeah, we don't have Doctor Who, but we have Disney Plus is Disney Plus. Guess what? You're about to get Doctor Who.
Surprise, motherfucker.
For some reason, there's a part of my brain that wants to go, India was a colony. Surely they should have Doctor Who. I'm like, that was That was a while ago. That's not how imperialism
So are we.
works. And we don't have Doctor Who. BBC America's god-awful. Well, at least their streaming was, you know. But yeah. But speaking of which, because we're on the subject, I think it looks like the Doctor Who specials will probably start, like, the weekend after Lower Decks. There's still no confirmation. But because that's just so perfect, I probably am going to go straight in and cover those Doctor Who specials with David Tennant. So I'll need a thumbnail. We'll talk about that later. But, yeah. We need more Clippy in our modern OSs. I don't want it. I'm the kind of person who I read that Windows is going to add, like, some AI assistant thing. And the first thing I looked for in the article was if and how to disable it. I'm very weird. I'm a software engineer who's, like, very resistant to
Software.
certain new techs. Not all of them, but, like, the things that companies tend to get excited about, I'm like, no. I'm always kind of afraid that of, like, the holiday or something where someone's gonna gift, like, I can't say their names on stream, like one of those smart speaker things or whatever, because I'm like, I don't. No, my microphone, when it's not plugged in or when not in use, it is on mute. My laptops, well, my work one has its little webcam thingy closed. I'm that kind of person. But yeah. So what's going on? We're also episode 7. We've got 3 episodes left of Lower Decks, and they actually have the title of the next one on Memory Alpha. Would you believe it? Going on, not too much about the briefings. Yeah, I was wondering as we were going through this, I have to kind of pay attention more. I wonder if this episode is partially a money-saving episode, because a lot of the characters are computer cases, and so you don't have to animate them, at least not to the extent as, like, a person or something. Like, especially in here, in the Daystrom Institute, there's a lot of just totally stationary scenes. So I wonder, especially if there's going to be, like, a big, intense finale or something, or maybe they spread it out. This was a time or budget-saving kind of thing. Okay, I'm going. See you in Star Trek Prodigy. I'm going to sleep. I will see you in several months, apparently. Oh, yeah, you were. I forgot you were. God, you show up for these at, like, a ludicrous time zone for you. I'm sorry. I of course, we can't schedule these for everyone. And so I do my best just to hit, like, most of the English-speaking world. It's kind of hard on the American West Coast. But, shout-outs to anyone, like, east of Poland who shows up for here, because they're rough times. I love how basketballs and stuff just come from off screen without showing them actually played with. Yeah, I noticed that one too. There's absolutely nothing over here. That basketball just came. There's not even, like, a computer case that was supposed to have thrown it or whatever. No, it just rolled over. Maybe
It's wireless.
I was about to say, maybe the basketball is actually like an evil dictator robot. Moving on. Also, especially because no one's complaining, I am assuming that the stream is, like, fine. You can at least hear me through the whole thing. Oh, wait, I wonder... No, it's my kilobytes per second. I'm gonna be real upset if this, like, $90... internet thing is spotty, because I don't think it's the actual internet. I'll have to do some tests. Do not be surprised if you see some, like, test streams just randomly. They'll probably say, like, test stream, please ignore, but if you don't want to ignore them and you want to give me feedback, that would be great. You were fine. Visual's good too, even when you just hit play. It's very interesting because OBS genuinely tells me that my kilobytes per second goes to 0 every now and then. I guess it's buffered a bit on your end because it's delayed. I don't know. Look, this sort of stuff is way too low level. I may be a software engineer, but like, networking was not my strong suit. Once you get low level enough, I'm like, I don't care. I want to go home now. This is gonna be a short thing. Like, I don't know. A lot of this one seemed to be based around the joke of like, red means evil computer, blue means good computer. I don't know. There just wasn't a lot. I feel like Lower Decks especially just needs the beef. Buffer time. Yes, I should have clocked that. There just needs to be a meat for me to Lower Decks, because at least this season, it's not really nailing it unless it really kind of has something to say or something to do with the characters. Which it makes sense that the ones where they really have something to say would be better. It's just, I feel I didn't get that with the other seasons. Like, there were definitely weaker episodes in the other seasons. I remember not being as big a fan of, like, the second episode, Envoys. But I just feel like maybe I have the expectation now of, these big, grand character moments and stuff that do exist. They're just not in every episode. I'm a Disney fan too, so I have mostly used streaming services now. I'm not from US, but I do live there now, so I'm mainly from Canada. I know, I'm so looking forward to Doctor Who becoming big again. I just don't see how it can. It's gonna be good. Does anyone in the chat, here's a poll, does anyone in the chat actually watch Doctor Who, or like is going to watch Doctor Who? Starting with the stuff next month, because it's sci-fi. It's kind of like related to Star Trek. It's not miles off. But I genuinely don't know if like anyone will show up to that one, or we'll see how things go. Or I don't even know if I'll keep reviewing Doctor Who. It's just there's gonna be a long gap of just doing the watch-alongs otherwise. God, I don't have a lot to say of these scenes. Right, that they need to give him, at least, you know, he's lying, but they need to give Agamemnon his little probes so he can repair the data, right? Like, Agamemnon says that he needs physical contact with the drone. Surely, the obvious answer is to go get the drone and come back. Like, the Cerritos is in the area. They don't know it's under attack. Surely you call the Cerritos, be like, hey, can you send another shuttle to Earth? Go fetch the drone and bring it back. Which would be just as fast as taking him out to the Cerritos and then getting the drone. Like, that just seems a lot safer. I've never watched Doctor Who. Yep, I know it's not going to be universal. Doctor Who's interesting, because especially nowadays, but even at its peak, if you're in the fan base, it always feels, but it's never really been that. Like, even in the UK, it's big, but it's not like Star Trek, Star Wars big. It's just kind of culturally omnipresent. Have you ever seen Doctor Who? I want to. Well, if you're British, it's incredibly easy, because you're about to get all the classic Who. I think for free. I don't know how BBC access to the iPlayer works. If you're not, BritBox has it all, but the modern stuff's about to be on Disney+. Presumably next month. Oh wait, no, we don't know that, do we? I don't know, it should be soon. But yeah. I don't know. I don't know if these November stuff is going to be a good place to start or not. Because they're probably going to lean heavily on what came before, but I think 15 would probably be a good one. It's weird, because it's an anniversary year. And, you know, a lot of people haven't watched the show since, like, Clara. God knows how long ago. Well, actually, 10 years, wasn't it? Because of the 50th anniversary. But no, it's good. It's a good show, and it's about to get really easy to access. Oh my god, the buffering. Come on, Bear Mountain. Yeah, I don't know how much I have to say about the scene by scene stuff. As I said, I think this one was generally a lot better, just the plot with Agamemnon and stuff, who should probably be in like a glass case, like he is at the end of the episode thinking about it. Then he wouldn't have been able to do everything he does in this scene. I looked over and thought the stream was buffering, but it was the Paramount buffering logo. Oh wait, new question then as I review it. How many people would watch Doctor Who, or at least come to like the review stream, if I did it in November? That's another interesting poll. Yeah, the main thing I want to say is I'm waiting for the lizard people, so let's just skip ahead while it's on my mind. It felt really weird as well, and kind of that, like, part of the plan Boimler and Tendi had was to just let Agamemnon come and enslave this planet, which, like, yeah, as Boimler said, Starfleet can undo in an hour, a reference to, of course, the episode lengths of Star Trek. It's not like nothing happened. You know, this is still probably pretty devastating. Like, some people died, people were enslaved, homes were destroyed, damage was done, and they're just, like, pretty chill. This happens all the time. And that just, I don't know, that one just really didn't sit right with me, and it was kind of played for laughs. And it's one of the few times in Lower Decks where it's like, no, it doesn't, that didn't really work for me. Like, you are still Star Trek. Lower Decks, it's another weird one where a lot of people say it takes a lot of liberties. I saw, I was probably Screen Rant, so, you know, take what you will. But that said, like, why Lower Decks doesn't care about canon. Like, that is the most, like, fundamental misunderstanding I may have ever seen in my life. Like, I might argue that of the modern Treks, heck, perhaps of all the Star Treks, Lower Decks is the one that cares about canon the most. So it's like, it kind of takes liberties in very specific ways, but I really don't want to say it takes liberties because with, yes, some exceptions, this being one of them, like, everything it does can work and make sense in the Star Trek universe, and it has a very fresh and unique perspective on kind of Starfleet and what it is. It's the, from early Mariner, I loved, like, Starfleet, great at fixing, horrible at maintaining. And when you get every now and then the scenes like this, it's like, well, no, could you imagine, like, Picard sitting here and being like, well, you know, it happens. Computers take over planets, and, like, yeah, I'm directly responsible for this one, but oh well. And yeah, the Gucci pun, I don't know if I want to say it's good or not. Yes, that's the frame I've chosen. I don't want to know if I say it's good enough, but I had never clocked, I don't know if it was intentional, Badgey is in they're bad. But yeah, I don't know, it's just a lot of this, as I said, the joke had kind of run its course. It's like, yeah, Badgey's a psychopath maniac, and even then, he wasn't I mean, in the scale sense, he was particularly psychotic in this episode, but it wasn't, there wasn't the juxtaposition. That's what it was. And the other Badgey appearances is kind of the juxtaposition of it's clippy, it's all smiley and happy, but he's literally saying, like, horrifically violent scenes. That first Badgey scene had, like, the incredibly gory, was it even censored, in the holodeck? And this was just, like, Badgey's here. And yeah, he's just evil and saying psychotic things because he's evil and psychotic. So the joke doesn't really work as much. Also, Tendi doesn't have her boots in this scene, but when they're going back into the shuttle, she did have her boots. That's the only continuity error I've seen in Lower Decks, and it was very obvious and bothered me. But yeah, I don't think I have a lot to say in these kind of scene by scenes, because the episodes when it's not dealing with those big character beats, it just doesn't really do much to me. I did laugh. I think the only joke that got me is, of all things, the first law of thermodynamics joke got a bit of a chuckle. He's like, I think it's this scene, you tried to destroy me. It's like, well, technically, according to the first law of thermodynamics, energy can neither be created nor destroyed, so I couldn't destroy you, which is dumb and doesn't make sense, but it's just... So congrats, you did get one good joke in there. Sand, it's irritating, gets everywhere. On Orion, apparently it definitely does. Maybe Tatooine is a lot like Orion. Star Wars might be fun to go through. Is like little, not reviews really, but watch-alongs. I haven't seen Star Wars in God knows how long. And I was probably sick, because when I was sick as a kid, I used to get really sick, and I would put on very long movies. And my go-to was always Star Wars until Lord of the Rings, around, like, middle school, because that was longer. But yeah, Star Wars could be fun. But of course, I will probably watch-alongs of the Trek franchise for the next 20 years, or however long it's gonna take me. Not a whole lot to say. We did that scene already. That's the one I reviewed. Yeah, I don't know. It was kind of nice. Again, it's just it's basic character work, but just the stuff with Peanut Hamper and Agamemnon, like this scene was probably my favorite, which is neither of them really wanted to conquer. It's the joke of, like, you know, it's a pretty common situation, you know. It's from, like, probably most rom-coms or something you'll get this, or romance stories. But the fact that just the two, like, evil computers, it's the juxtaposition. There's a bit of comedy. This is why Badgey worked. And, you know, it's just the father who's just, you know, it's the R2-D2 and then C-3PO and Luke or whatever, like, giving the real responses. You know, I like it. I've always liked the episodes where the focus is entirely around AI, because they're sentient, they're people. But it's kind of like in the real world when you play with, like, those old AI chatbots, like Cleverbot or something, the ones that aren't particularly good, you know, especially compared to nowadays. Or, like, you get the two of them talking to each other, especially. It's just like, you know, we built this thing. Like, what does it do when we just have these things we built and we just set them loose? Like, even The Offspring, Alex and I just watched. And I always kind of love the scenes of Data and Lol, where it's just like, what, you know, what, like, they're just two AIs. It's just something about the human-made things just going off on the universe, doing their own thing. That's always, I think, is fascinating to watch, even in fiction. Do both plots end in an anticlimax? Maybe. This one, I think, definitely does. I mean, Badgey ascending is kind of big. But yeah, I think you could probably call that an anticlimax. I'm not, like, a film major or anything. Most of what I learned about making content and stuff comes from JXE, but... yeah. I think they both do. Which isn't I don't think that's a bad thing. The latter part of the episode, like, kind of here with the resolutions, was stronger than the rest of the episode. But that is interesting to have one where both plots end in an anticlimax. I mean, it's kind of refreshing, you know, the common complaint of the constantly raising stakes, which, yes, this one did. I mean, the entire Federation was at stake in this episode. And it ended because the bad guy decided, well, actually, what's the point? Yeah, you know what? That's maybe not the best. You know, but... yeah, now that I've said it, that definitely is an anticlimax. Just as far as the plots resolve themselves without external input from the main characters. Yep. They definitely do. I've watched a lot of those. I'm going through the 10th Doctor and Donna stuff in preparation for the 60th anniversary Doctor Who things. And, like, the last one I watched was also The Planet of the Ood, which is a story where the Doctor and Donna have no effect on the story. The events would have gone on basically as they did if the Doctor never landed. Which are always interesting stories, because they're so rare in any media. Usually your characters are somewhat of a driving force, you know, they matter to the story. Yeah, nice to see Deep Space Nine again, even though I just missed it. Badgeys Ascension, yeah, is kind of weird. I do like that this is just a thing that happens pretty consistently, because it is just a thing that happens in the Next Generation, and well, actually, Star Trek broadly, although you don't do the whole eagle thing. I do love, of course, that the koala is always... Oh, dang it, I just missed it. Is always waiting for you. Yes, I still have this cough slightly. Thank you for asking. Look at that. That used to be one of my icons at work for the longest time until corporate made us... Well, not corporate, but the heads made us change it. Ascension is the best part of the episode for me. Yeah, and I mean, Badgeys alive, like, why not? There's some weird stuff going up at this higher plane of the Star Trek universe. So, you know, why not? Lol had emotions Troy could sense, so why can't Badgey ascend? And I like the little Daystrom therapy thing. I like the... You know, again, it's that juxtaposition, because it's computers just going through, like, therapy and stuff. Of, like, can you teach me how to be good? It's like, I don't know. But, you know, I'll try, man. And I always liked, I think a lot of people don't really get this, just based on, like, you know, Reddit posts and questions I see asked, where Star Trek, right at the start... All right, this is long, so I'll address it. Thank you, David C., for the $20. Who do you think is responsible for zapping away all the starships all season? All right, I know you donated, but actually I am going to set that aside until the after this scene, because that is right at the end. But I will address the main going plot line. Yes, the world of Star Trek, right at the start of the Next Generation, and actually maybe like a few decades before, basically from the moment Data was created, is a society on the brink of the singularity of sentient robots. And modern Star Trek has just kind of proven this more and more. But before modern Star Trek, this Star Trek right at the start of Next Generation, and that's kind of the first point in time this is true, is a society that is capable of making a fully sentient AI. It just doesn't know how. Dr. Soong did it, and then, you know, that knowledge was lost. Nobody knows how to do it. But because it's possible, and they have these advanced computers, we learn in some point in early TNG, the Enterprise computer is literally the most advanced computer in the entire Federation. A Galaxy-class Starship's computer. And so you see pop up, like at one point the Enterprise computer becomes sentient. You have intentional creations like LOL, but you also, as time goes on, we move a little further, as like like a decade or two, you will get just advanced holograms that keep running, like the Doctor or Vic, who will just gain sentience. I love Moriarty, which kind of a lot of people complain, but he's my favorite. The Enterprise computer has a fair amount of autonomy, and especially the holodecks, which that level of holodeck seems very new. I mean, everyone's gushing over it, and I know there's some kind of contradictions with, like, Janeway claiming to grow up with holodecks, but everyone seeming to think they're new in Next Generation. But, like, that quality of, like, kind of telling the computer to make whatever and it'll do it, I love the Moriarty one where someone's like, make a opponent worthy of defeating Data. And, like, it drains. There's a power drain on the Galaxy-class starship, capable of going warp 9.75, something ridiculous. And the computer just plops something sentient into existence. Because that's something that's possible. We just don't know how to intentionally do it. And so, over that, like, Next Generation Deep Space Nine... Oh, and of course, we know, skipping ahead a bit if in front of Lower Decks, we do know that eventually... probably not too far from now, we kind of figure it out. We learn how to intentionally make these sentient artificial life forms. But the closer you get from, like, Next Generation to Picard, the more advanced, the more Badgeys, the more sentient and intentionally sentient these programs become. Janeway from Prodigy. Hollow Janeway. But I kind of like that this is... the Lower Deck seems like about the time where the Federation itself would have enough computers that are, like, become sentient and evil that warrant this. And, of course, they'll find computers out and about in space. But, I feel like this little penitentiary kind of adds to that to me. This story that goes on in the background of, like, basically all of Star Trek from Next Generation through to, like, Picard, occasionally entering the foreground of, like, in some ways you can describe Star Trek as the story of a society that is on the brink of the singularity until eventually it gets there, like around Children of Mars, And it's a very interesting way to look at Star Trek that I quite like. And, of course, the AI rights stories are a big part of that, but just in the background, I've always liked looking at Star Trek that way. Best of Trek, worst of Trek. There's a Lower Decks graphic novel where the main characters try to intentionally make Dracula sentient, and safeguards are put in place after Moriarty. Don't intentionally try and make Dracula sentient. God, I love I forget how much I love the Moriarty stuff, and that just... Basically, all the AI sentient stuff are good. As I said, we just watched The Offspring, like, yesterday with LOL, and I'm reminded, Voyager has some good ones, but just how many great just counter-arguments Data has to literally every anti-android thing thrown his way. Like, amazing. Oh, wait, hang on. What's this little button? Send a heart. There we go. I can heart donations, apparently. Can I do that to any message? No, I actually can't access the options. Oh, there we go. Go to channel, pin message, report, rename, put user in timeout. Hide user on this channel, add as moderator. All right. I didn't know I could heart donations. But apparently I can. Yes, going on. By the way, sometimes I see little... it's always Screen Rant articles, where I'm like, I wonder how that incorporates in the episode. Uh-oh, YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. Drop frames 5.6. Look, you're receiving the smoothest video you've gotten all stream. I think we're good. Yeah, that's gone away. No data. Ruh-roh. I am streaming. Am I here, chat? YouTube says I'm not it's not receiving any data. But everything else says I'm streaming. Okay, come on. Am I live? There we go. Oh, one word. God, look at that space. And you can't edit live messages. Well, there we go. I hope I'm live, because I got paid $20 to answer a question. You are streaming. Okay, good. Weird. Because usually, sometimes YouTube fails. Yeah, there we go. Excellent collection. And it automatically stops the stream. But YouTube simultaneously said it was receiving no data and that it was still streaming. So, who knows? Yeah, so I saw an article that was like, Lower Decks brings back Enterprise's best technology. And, I'm like, I bet that's the grappler. I wonder how that's going to get incorporated into the episode. And there's the one where I saw, God, what's his face? I brought it up in a leather stream. Oh, yeah, Star Trek brings back another Enterprise character aside from Trip. And there was a picture of Malcolm and Trip. And I was like, I wonder how Malcolm gets in this episode. And I was disappointed it was a puzzle. Where's our quote? There it is. I've said before with these mystery boxes, especially kind of Lower Decks, which doesn't develop them until the end, that I don't really care. Like, until they start going places, which is still true. But, this one's a bit interesting. Like, they're not actually destroying the ships. They're taking them away somewhere, which is kind of more interesting. Like, why are we stealing these ships and making it look like they're destroyed is a bit more of an interesting question. There's still basically nothing to speculate on. Like, we don't have any more details about who's doing this. Knowing Lower Decks, it doesn't seem unlikely that it's someone we'd know from a previous series. Although there aren't too many big bads left. Is there anyone we haven't really touched on? The Xindi. Oh, you know what? I would be amazed if Lower Decks never did something with the Xindi. Like, that's a big hole. I don't think it's the Xindi. That feels like it'd come kind of out of nowhere. But, it is kind of futuristic-y. They could be doing something with, like, Temporal Cold War. That could be interesting. But I had a main point. I can't remember what. Oh yeah, the only kind of dangling thread I can think of is there's some Section 31 stuff we're gonna get back to, like with the other Boimler. Was Rutherford briefly in Section 31? Didn't Rutherford have a memory wipe, and do we know about it? I think that was resolved with like the Texas-class drone things last season. It's been a while. Best Trek, worst Trek? I thought it was the whale probe people until this episode. I have no idea now. So my completely uneducated guess is the claymation bugs from Conspiracy. That would be another thing I could see Lower Decks coming back to. And that's a series dangling thread that I don't think many people particularly care about. But getting a nice little wrap up to that plot line could actually be good. I might like that. Like, yeah, you're right. I wouldn't be too surprised if it's the conspiracy bugs. Like, basically with no evidence other than it's a dangling thread. But yeah, it could be interesting if... I feel like that's how I'd want the conspiracy bugs to come back. Let's not have, like, some big season or, like, war and really focus on the conspiracy bugs. Let's have Lower Decks have an episode where they try to invade and it fails. Like, let's just put a plug in that. Say, okay, they did come back, we're done now. That's kind of like exactly as much closure as I want on the conspiracy bugs. Anything more, and I'd probably get tired of them. Like, because I don't really care. Conspiracy is not a great plot line. Like, I know internally it caused a lot of conflict. Like, Rudenberry hated it, and there was a lot of disagreement with, like, showing a corrupt Federation. And so, of course, the final product is gutted. Conspiracy is, like, a very gutted episode, and once you know that, it does kind of show. But still, I wouldn't mind. It's another thing that when it rolls around on a watch-through that I used to go, they're like, they will invade. I used to go, no, you won't. But then I won't do that anymore. I like when Star Trek, when the new series plug those up. One of the evil computers said the ships weren't being destroyed, but taken somewhere. Yep. As depicted here. That looks familiar, actually. Is that a Star Wars? Bespin. Bespin comes to mind. Star Wars Bespin. Didn't they have little, like, cars like that? I forgot the Star Wars wiki is Wikipedia. car things from Star Wars, I think. I've just realized Legos... Yeah, I should do Star Wars again at some point. I want to pick up, like, a lot of the old movie collection while I still can, like Star Wars, Back to the Future, and stuff like that. Oh, the stream, that actually is the stream buffing, because you're pausing on Google. There we go, we're back. Yeah, we've only got 3 episodes left. We've got to have an episode where this goes somewhere, and then the resolution, I think. I don't think they'll just do it in the resolution, like in the final episode. They might. But yeah. I did learn, by the way, recently, Lower Decks apparently does have a story to tell. It's got a, well, I mean, that sounds obvious. It seems to have kind of like a roadmap to its natural conclusion, because Mike McMahon came out recently saying, like, telling for fans to really show the support for Prodigy and stuff, so it basically doesn't get, or for Lower Deck, so it doesn't get canceled like Prodigy or anything, or Discovery for that matter. I always forget that Discovery was canceled. Like, that was an unexpected ending, and in the uncertain times, like, Lower Decks and Strange New Worlds are the safest of the series. God, they're the only ones now, aren't they? Yeah, so I guess that's not saying much, but Lower Decks is the shakiest of the 2 seasons, because by God, do people love Strange New Worlds. People love Strange New Worlds unreasonably, I would say. An unreasonable amount. I have a feeling that the Cerritos will eventually end up being allowed to do first contact missions at the end of the series. That is a fantastic endpoint. Like, your first episode is called Second Contact. Having your last one called First Contact, that's actually a beautiful, like, TNG kind of starts and ends with Farpoint. That's a beautiful bottleneck. I love that, David C. I was actually thinking more their storylines with their characters, particularly Mariner, as I've said before, is the main character of Lower Decks. Like, it's very much an ensemble cast, but Lower Decks is the story of Mariner. I'm pretty sure that itself, Lower Decks is the story of Mariner, is a direct quote from Mike McMahon. Citation needed. But I wouldn't want that cut off, you know. I doubt they'll make Captain by the end of the series unless you do an Enterprise-style flash forward, just because then you'd have time with him as commanders, and that doesn't really work. But I wouldn't be surprised if it ends with, like, maybe a 5 years later kind of thing, just in the final few minutes. It's kind of the coming home that, like, everyone wanted Voyager to have. Just let Voyager run for, like, Endgame run for 10 minutes longer. Or a double episode. Well, an episode and a half, where it's like the normal episode, then a bit of seeing them in the future. But, yeah, I want them to conclude, like, the story they're telling with Mariner. Because I think Lower Decks will end when Mariner, well, grows up, quite frankly, and kind of realizes what they want to do, and presumably start moving up the ranks and kind of be happy with that. Or maybe they'll come, I don't think they'll come straight out of nowhere and have her, like, leave Starfleet, but yeah, I want them to finish their story. Especially because that's where Lower Decks is so good, is the character work. Do you think we will see anything besides Lower Decks Season 5 and Disco Season 5 in 2024? Do we actually know Lower Decks is 2025? Well, I've still got Memory Alpha open. Next episode, by the way, is called Caves. No details. Lower Decks Season 5. It looks like it's confirmed for next year, because Memory Alpha has all the dates, is December 31st of next year. Confirmed Season 5 Lower Decks. Yes, I just didn't know. Well, apparently, it just says it was announced. I don't know if we know for a fact, but, Lower Decks. Release dates 2020, 1, 2, 3. Okay, yeah, it'll be next year. In fact, it looks like it will be, what is that? September? October, August? Yeah, it'll be August of next year by the looks of it. So no. I mean, we'll get Prodigy, but in terms of Paramount Plus, no. What even is there? Is it just the section that's not going to be 2025 at least? At least 2025. And they're probably going to want to rush it through the door. So probably 2025 would be my guess. And then we're kind of just like 2 Star Trek seasons a year. And at some point the movie. So yeah, I probably will look to branch out at some other things. It'd be great if like Star Trek and Doctor Who want to alternate, never overlap. But we could always just do our watch-alongs and whatever. God, why YouTube? Why is my upload speed so bad? I'm glad this stream is holding, but I will look into maybe just plugging into the router, because like my internet's fine. Like every now and then a website will take a little bit long to load, but like a few seconds. It's probably just like peak usage midday on a Saturday. But yeah, I think I will probably go wrap it up there. Let me check if there's any sort of news I'm forgetting. So yeah, normal videos will hopefully kind of wrap up. Start ramping up again at some point soon as we get the house more set up. It might wait a while until we can get all the radon out of the basement. We got internet faster than I thought, so I thought I'd spend a lot of time making videos, just not uploading them. But it literally was as simple as going to the internet store and buying one internet and then bringing the internet home. And then I went to Best Buy and bought one internet stick because my computer's network adapter is absolute trash. And then, yeah, then we had internet. It was actually surprisingly easy. And I'm very annoyed. We got Xfinity home with like the Xfinity box. In the mail was a flyer for one of the like fiber internet companies, and I'm like, I checked you didn't service my address, so either you just started a day late or you actually don't service me. So I was really annoyed at that. Like, God, literally, if you had sent this a day earlier, you might have gotten a new customer. LTNS, everybody. I don't know. Glad you're still reviewing. Nice to hear a familiar voice. Maybe try out Loki. I'm loving it. The thing about the Marvel stuff, I think this is changing. But on the one hand, I'm not as invested in Marvel as I am like some other things. And once Disney Plus came around and it became all these shows, it started to feel like homework. Like, I dropped off after Endgame. I saw the new Spider-Man. Was it Homecoming? I saw that one. But other than that, after Endgame, I never watched Marvel, because we felt done. After Endgame, it just very naturally felt kind of done. And then Disney Plus put, like, 10 shows in front of me, all streaming simultaneously. Like, that's actually having to go out and watch all of them. But also, what's changing is Disney doesn't do physical media for its streaming shows. Oh, great. It looks like we're buffering again. There we go. We're back. Yes, Disney doesn't do physical media for its streaming shows. It looks like it's doing some of them now. And I have the same problem with the Orville, which doesn't have Blu-ray for its Fox seasons. I kind of feel I'd rather miss out entirely than have watched a show and in 20 years never be able to access it again. Yeah, I'm all about the physical media and actually being able to own the thing and watch it forever. So I don't think I'll get into those Disney ones. I could maybe see myself trying to get into Star Wars, but a lot of the best Star Wars things, a lot of the good stuff is in the books, And I don't know. We'll have to see. I don't actually know how big things like the Clone Wars and whatnot are, but you kind of get the same thing with oversaturation, where, like, I know Doctor Who's a lot, and I know Star Trek is a lot. Nowadays, Star Trek can get pretty complicated. I mean, my watch order guides are literal flowcharts. But, like, it might be a bit of a big undertaking. And I don't know, how many of the shows are actually good? I know some of them are. I've heard good things about Andor. I've heard good things about Mandalorian, but I think it slipped a little. I don't know. We'll see. I feel like if I do Star Wars, I'll be pretty old at that point. But again, that's Disney, so you can't, like, buy, like, The Mandalorian, can you? I don't know, but yeah, it's interesting. So I feel like among Star Wars fans, kind of the worst bits of Star Wars are those 9 movies. Like, it seems like the best Star Wars. I've said this before. My uncle's described, like, some of the best Star Wars things, like the books and whatnot. And I think I will eventually give some of the books he's described a go, because one of the ones he describes is in the Star Wars books, which I've read 3 of them. Kind of sort of the first 3, I think, but they deal with, like, after they defeat the Empire, right? They try and rebuild the Galactic Republic, and they kind of directly tackle issues like, how do you rebuild a Galactic Republic that people have faith in? Because the last Galactic Republic turned into the Empire, basically. Like, how do you build a Galactic Republic that the people can have faith in and that works without letting another empire form? I'm like, that is very interesting to me. It also just kind of sounds like Star Trek. It kind of sounds like the best Star Trek or Star Wars is Star Trek. So part of me is like, why don't I just do Star Trek then? You know, I mean, I can't say Star Trek's ever really dealt with how do you found a republic. If Enterprise had kept going, I mean, we would have gotten those older Star Wars shows unless I can buy them and own them or get them from someone. Oh, look, we're buffering again. Yeah, I'm going to have to work this out. Probably just plug an Ethernet cable directly into the router. Hopefully it's not the router. Because, like, you saw... There we go, we're buffering again. You saw my, My upload was, like, floored at the 20s. That was the low point, so I'll have to see what's going on for next stream. Marvel as a brand is hurting, but Loki venturing off into rather intriguing sci-fi plots. Production values A+. Yeah, every brand is kind of hurting. Even Star Trek is just diluted. The streaming model doesn't work. There's a lot of interesting stuff that's come out of this strike. That not only does the streaming model not really work, kind of from the consumer thing, it's easy to see the problems, but, like, for the actors and for the writers and for the people making the stuff and even the companies doing it, the streaming model inherently does not work. But consumers aren't gonna want to go back to, like, what cable was, with, like, all the ads and stuff. But this business seemingly needs the ads, or subscription prices so high that it's just no one would buy them. And so we're kind of like, in order to keep making TV, and to a lesser extent the movies, we have to have commercials. So I don't know. Maybe physical is like... it'd be interesting if physical was the answer, if we went to, like, straight to DVD. I don't think that would happen. I would love it, though. But I don't know if you could, like, make a TV show solely off of physical media sales. I'd be interested to see those, like, maths. Because, I mean, people do them. They clearly are profitable. Otherwise, we wouldn't do it. We do it now. So there's clearly some level of profit. But it's almost like a physical media sale is an expensive subscription. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how the industry goes. I doubt it'll die because people like, you know, the TV. People like these stories. Maybe annoying. So we'll see. We'll see. Or maybe we'll just go back to Netflix, but it's just like the one, because that kind of worked. That did work when it was all centralized. Star Wars is a great movie franchise. Trek is a great TV franchise with very little crossover into the other format. Yeah, we talked about this recently, about how most of the Star Trek movies aren't great. Like, I made a list of the top 10, which would probably be very controversial. I think I put Nemesis above The Wrath of Khan. That shows you how much. No, screw it. I actually made sure that this list wasn't going to go to the internet, because I haven't seen most of these movies in ages. My list, because I kind of want to see the fallout. I'm going to live with this. If I binge these, they probably would change, right? But from best to worst, you have 4, so what? Voyage Home, First Contact, Nemesis, Wrath of Khan, Undiscovered Country, Insurrection, Genesis, Search for Spock, Motion Picture, the reboot, so 09, Beyond Darkness 5, Final Frontier. So, yeah, Nemesis above. In fact, there's David C. taking all his donations back. No. Yeah, Netflix did send DVDs to you by mail right before streaming took off. I remember that. But that's different, because that's still temporary ownership, right? I respect that Netflix, when they ended their DVD ownership not long ago, they basically said, keep it, you know? And then they just sent a bunch of DVDs out, like, we need to get rid of these, so we're just gonna, like, send them to you, and you can just do whatever you want with them. You can keep them. I know you're supposed to send them back, but, like, just honestly keep them. I really love that, Netflix did that. Yeah, it's sad. We no longer live in a world where Netflix sends you DVDs in the mail. But yeah, I hope physical media stays around. Or at the very least, some form of oh my god, what's the word? Permanent. There we go. Permanent ownership. I prefer physical because I think it's safer. Physical with a digital backup. Because, you know, you've added redundancy. My computer could explode and I still have the discs. My discs could degrade or burn down. I still have the computer. All my media is triple backed up. I have a Blu-ray, the internal hard drive, and an external hard drive. So there's the triple redundancy. And I'd love to get, like, an external storage somewhere, like in a whole different place in case my house burns down. But yeah, it's the thing about a digital backup is if the hard drive fails, then you're kind of done for good. I really like that redundancy, and there are ways you can do it, but physical media is just easy. According to Google, September 2023 was the last month Netflix sent out mail DVDs after 25 years. Yep, my dad used to get them all the time. And we'd watch as kids. I remember Netflix's DVD mail service. If streaming disappears tomorrow, I have them ripped on a network drive and most of the series and movies on Blu-ray or DVD. Yep. There's the part of me that's going, which of course is, this would be piracy, so I never do it. It's like, Strange New Worlds in this Lower Deck season don't have DVDs yet. Maybe I should, like, you know, get some kind of backup until the DVDs. But I'm very happy. I'm looking at Prodigy's Blu-ray on my shelf right now. Does Netflix do DVDs? I really hope I can get the Prodigy on Blu. Can you hang on? Stranger Things is Netflix. Stranger Things Blu-ray. Yeah, you can buy Stranger Things. So we should get like a Prodigy one then. I don't even know if that's a different set of rights. Like, I don't know how these things work. But I'm happy my big franchises, Star Trek and Doctor Who, still do it. But yeah, I think we're gonna get into an age of lost media again. Technically, I suppose there probably won't be much that's truly lost, because you do have people who will, like, take recording, and you have the pirates. It's not like Doctor Who, where we burned the originals, and they just don't exist anymore. But, you know, a legal way to access things is always going to be great. The bad case scenarios when we have to turn to the pirates and say, please, can I have your recording so we can distribute this legally? Like, that means we failed if we ever get to that point. Which, thinking about it, is kind of funny, because that's how the missing Doctor Who episodes survive, is they were technically pirated. And the BBC is like, please give us your audio recordings. Comment, are you licking my table? Why are you doing that? But yeah, no, streaming disappears tomorrow. I have my big franchises. But that's why I wanna get the backlog. Like, it's expensive to build up if you have nothing. Especially the big franchise, but even like I want Star Wars, the main movies, Back to the Future, I don't know, even those two, that's probably gonna be like, that might even approach $100. I don't know. That might be like 80, 40. I don't know how much it should cost. But, yeah, it's kind of expensive. So there's always the month that's like, well, when do I get it? But I actually wouldn't be too surprised. I'm not an industry expert, but I can kind of see a path forward where the future of TV and maybe even movies is direct to DVD. I think I even suggested this as like, say no one picks up Prodigy, could they just release Prodigy direct to Blu-ray? Because it seems to be profitable, and like, I guess it'd be more expensive if you do watch a lot of stuff. People would have to be choosy, because you're essentially paying like $20 for everything you want to watch. For a lot of people, that just might mean, like, okay, what do we want to watch this month? But when you have the backlog, it's so good. So, I don't know. As I say, it's going to be very interesting. I have no idea what media is going to look like in a decade. But it's probably not going to look like this. That's for sure. But, yeah, good boy, comment. You're licking. I've now been streaming for almost an hour and a half. So I think I will probably start wrapping up things here. We still got housework to do. I've got internets to fix. How are we doing? 4.2% drop frames. I think we've gotten I say as it goes yellow. I'll try and work out the internet thing. I don't know what's going on. Maybe I just need to buy a stupidly long Ethernet cable. But yeah, I will say then, thank you all for watching.